is Shylo Bijold, and you are listening to Grit and Grace. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Money Show. This is Grit and Grace with Shylo Bijold, and I have Monroe with me, part 2. Let's get started. Okay, what's up? It is morning. We are doing a weekend show. This is like a special, but we were reviewing some notes that we took. This is so funny. I love this because we took notes like, I want to say 9 months ago. And I was in a totally different mindset. I was in survival mode, but the notes were profound. Like when you were rereading them to me, I was like, oh my God, I said that. Like we could make t-shirts out of like 7 things we said. But we're going to talk about money, but the money is correlated with trauma. Okay. So we're going to talk about that, but this is a money show. It's action show. So we're really focused. The theme for the next, I would say, year to 2 years is it's action. It's all absolutely. Action. We've all been healing. You've been healing. I've been healing. We're not in survival mode. Some people might be in survival mode. That's okay. We're still going to give you the tools for your tool belt, but we're going to talk about it because Meaghan has ascended. Meaghan is doing, Monroe, I should say, is doing just incredible things. You've got so much going on. We're going to talk about that too. But, you know, the level is just, it's rising. And so we're all rising together. So let's talk about it. What's on your mind today? Where should we get started with this talk?
I think what just hit me when you were speaking, and even with that intro, is like, I think about all the times where more money, honestly, when it wasn't flowing to me, even though I had the skill sets, I had the knowledge, I had the connections, I was postured properly, but my trauma was in a space where it was like, if I didn't acknowledge my junk, if I kept trying to sweep it under the rug and look perfect because I was a public figure or what have you, I was not even going to be in a place where when I had those funds, I would have stewarded them properly. Like, you know, me and my relationship with God, we best friends, you know what I'm saying? Not to go there, but like, I really have this profound understanding over the last 24 months that it's about what am I going to do to deploy those funds? Currency is literally meant to be a representation of a current, of an energetic exchange. And if I don't send those funds out to work, if I, like right now, you know, when I make a $15,000 deal, $5,000 is going into the pockets of people who are working for me. So I'm being a good steward of funds when I'm closing these bigger deals, and I'm honoring more people in my profession and what I'm doing. And so back then it was like me, survival, money. I know exactly what we're going to talk about. Money was a method and a means for me to separate myself from what I truly wanted, which was human connection. But up until that point, all I wanted money for was to get as far away from my mom, was to get as far away from ever relying on anybody. You know, I was that kid that was, you know, a punk kid. I grew up, you know, with bad circumstances, and I made a ton of money. And so I used my money to keep myself away from healing, to keep myself away from accountability, to keep myself away from having to own up to my mistakes and who I was up until that time, and to protect my child. And at that whole time, no one could hold me accountable because I had kept myself untouchable. And so I believe that God kind of brought me to a space where, even though I was earning income, it was a humbling experience because I said, you know what, I want to go higher. And I understand that every time I hit those high 6-figure limits, or when I did cross 7 figures for the first time, it didn't feel good. I always wanted something more. And I was tired of that. I was tired of that mentality where I was burnt out, going to the doctor, and they were diagnosing me with adrenaline fatigue, passing out, having to sleep for 18 hours because I was grind, hustle. And I met healed individuals who were wealthy, and I was watching them be relaxed, and I was watching them, you know, get paid over and over again without having to be 100% present. And that was the big pivot for me. I was like, I'm 25 and I'm ready to just retire. I don't want to do this hamster wheel thing anymore. The money, the locations, the trips, the cars, it wasn't worth it for me anymore. And when it came to knowing that I wanted more money to live my life comfortably, but not only that, to start facilitating these I can't say the word philanthropic. I can't say the word. I will one day learn. But these humanitarian projects that we are building at this point, guys. So if one of y'all can teach me how to say that word, I will pay you. Just DM me, okay? Because I can't.
Philanthropy. Yes.
Philanthropy. 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 But I wasn't at a place where I had the financial responsibility to go to the next level, because my trauma still had me in a cycle of belief of separation. And our spirit does not want to be separate. Our spirit wants to be connected to the consciousness. Our spirit wants to be connected to people. Our trauma wants to tell its story, because the only reason we went through those experiences was to honor that connection with other people who are going through those same things. And I think that the best thing that you can do is disconnect from the belief that in survival mode, you're doing it to get away, or you're doing it to get safe, or you're doing it to get stable. When in all reality, you're always stable if you're abundant. There's no such thing as lack. There's no such thing as lack of money when you're in a place where you're releasing and you're flowing and you're allowing healing through the process, and you're allowing yourself to show up in spite of what's going on. Mm-hmm. So honestly, that's the direction that I'd like to go today. Is I know there was probably a pivotal point for you where you realize, like, you know, we can keep doing these big things and burnt ourselves out completely, or we can learn how to compound and build on top of what we've been doing over and over again. And that's where true abundance comes from. And then that's where we get to be free to spend time like we do together, when we talk for an hour and a half about whatever the heck that has nothing to do with business, and it feels so good. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
The key word is leverage. You brought it up before we started recording, and leverage is, I think, let's go here, because a lot of people, they'll look at you and go, okay, so you're young, you already have these realizations. You know, there's people who are, you know, they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're going, I don't know what to do. I'm broke, or I'm stuck, or I'm this. And they're going, just tell me what to do, right? So leverage is what we're going to talk about today. Because Absolutely. What does Shylo mean by leverage? I mean, and we talked about this too, and you're really good at this, is how do I take my trauma? And I say it all the time, take your pain, make it your purpose. How do you do that? Like, you can say these things, like, we're not doing philosophy today, we're doing action. Yep. So how do you take this philosophy of, we could have bumper stickers all day. I always say the bumper sticker lines. I'm like, yes, but how do you turn those into actions? And that's called leverage. So when you're leveraging, let's just talk about the basic leverage that people master, and you're not even knowing they're doing it to you. So when you see a celebrity, Kim K, when you see even people you don't like, and you're like, how the hell are these people famous, right? They took their pain and they made it their purpose, and they leveraged it. So let's talk about that, because you're going to describe that for people, because you're really good at describing things. So when I was going through hell, you were going through hell, we somehow managed to keep going, which is we took actions, but we were leveraging every single thing we did and made it work for us, even if it was shitty. I'll just say the word shitty, because you're sitting there on the floor crying, but you're like, I'm going to do this anyways, because I know someone needs to hear this. So let's talk about the easiest way, using social media, because we know that that's one of the biggest tools. Let's just be real. Leveraging your story. Let's talk to the person who's struggling right now, that wants to start a business, wants to get the hell out of debt, wants to feel better, or maybe they're a high figure earner. You know, we talk to a lot of highly successful women who are exhausted, and men too. Yep. How can we help them with leverage, and what can we do to make it work for them?
So I think that the first thing I like to say, this is my favorite saying, and I didn't realize how much I used it until I was listening to some transcribed notes last night. Your point of frustration is your points of relation. And so every time you're feeling frustrated, check in with yourself, write a note in your iPhone, what have you. But the power of what we're about to launch with Comeback Queens, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the show, but hopefully we can, is this community is watching Shylo and what she's gone through, and knowing, like, I not to go back to the emotional thing really quick, but I was like thanking God for where we are right now. And he's like showing me how much power is going to come from this connection that we're building in this direction with Comeback Queens. And the power is that when you just keep coming, it can't keep up. And so when you have things that happen in your story that you know that people are going through, even if it's messy, because let's be real, these influencers, they're fake as heck. They paint a perfect life. And so what's happening is they're missing out on 98% of the people that are coming through the funnel. And so when I'm sitting here and we're doing lead generation for the Comeback Queens, and we're talking about, you know, who's going through stuff right now, but still wants to kill it Black Friday. I have something for you. Boom. I'm like dropping emoji below, and everyone's raising their hand. They're like me. I'm going through stuff, but I still want to kill it. Why? Because we're women. That's what we freaking do, first of all. Okay. So now we're driving all of that traffic into the community. And that traffic is going to be monetized over and over again, not for the sake of us just, making a dollar, because honestly, we could go do other things. Like, let's be real, I could be on vacation trading Forex and never talking to a human if I wanted to. We could totally do that. I have been for the last month and a half, just got back from Florida. It's cold here. Don't like South Carolina too much, but when it comes to leverage, it's all about, okay, I went through this one thing. How can I cause a ripple effect of resonance? A ripple effect of resonance. I call the way that I do my lead generation the ripple effect, because you do one drop of truth and truth resonates. And so if you're starting your business right now and you absolutely have no clue, or you're just like, I want to do something to monetize on social media, here's what I would do. I'm going to give you a free play right now. Go create a community on social media. Figure out what your biggest, let's say for the love of this show and the cuss words that we use on it, your biggest shit show, your biggest truth, and make a community about that. For me, it could be domestic violence. I went through 2 very horrible domestic violence situations, and there are a lot of entrepreneurs, and one of those was very public relationship when I was at the top of the company. And I felt at the time like I had to hide, but you know what? I probably could have saved a few people from really hard situations had I talked about it. And so if you're powerful and you can posture your story because you're ready to share now, you can curate a community called entrepreneurs who go through domestic violence, or who have gone through domestic violence or dealing with domestic violence and still killing it anyways. Like, literally, we are winning through these struggles that we're going through. We still show up. We still earn 5, 6, 7 figures while going through these behind the scenes things. And honestly, let's stop being shameful, right? And then you go and you drop a status in entrepreneurial based Facebook groups. What I did personally was I just searched keywords. We call that SEO, search engine optimization. So I would search keywords like entrepreneur, women, wealthy women, all these things that are keywords that have to do with entrepreneurship, because that's my target audience is female entrepreneurs, right? Make a list of 100 Facebook groups in a spreadsheet. You can even hire an assistant for $3, $5, $7, $12 an hour, whatever you want to pay to help you with this process. And drop a status that's saying domestic violence survivors, drop a heart. Simple as that. Domestic violence survivors, drop a heart. They will. It works every time. You can actually go search my profile right now, Meaghan Monroe on Facebook, search for those statuses, and you'll see that there's probably about 179 comments on that, which is sad. But guess what? We need each other. We were just talking about this before we got on this recording, honestly, because we deal with it in our own personal lives, and we deal with not right now, but we dealt with it in our own personal lives. We've dealt with it in situations with our friends and family and the people that we mentor. And it's a real, true reality, especially with what's going on with COVID. So say you go in those 100 Facebook groups, and I just said I had 109 comments on my main profile, which was not targeted. So those would not be ideal leads, but the hot leads come from a targeted community, women entrepreneurs. You go and drop that status, and then every single person that comments on those statuses, you message on that status and you say, join here. I have something for you, right? And then just have a resource. Maybe you do 5 days of affirmations, or you do a gift that has something to do with how they can find resources and support in their place, or even your thought process and action-oriented framework. So you know what? The best thing is for a broken heart is hard work. You can't tell me anything other than that. When you make progress and you have relief and you don't have that anxiety anymore, even if you're going through stuff and you take action, that's breakthrough, right? So you go in there, you tell your story. Hi, I'm Meaghan Monroe. When I was 19 years old, I got into an abusive relationship that resulted in a child. I started my first business, and I had to build my business, find out who I was as a young adult, and raise a brand new baby that I was breastfeeding. I tell the story of how I started out with $73 in my account, even though I was making $1,200 every 2 weeks, because he was taking some of that money and spending it on drugs. I was in shame, guilt, and hiding that. But guess what I did? I built my first 6-figure business from the ground up, struggling with that, fighting with God, fighting not with my parents because they didn't want to be around me. But I thought that the only thing that I deserved at that point was the love I was receiving from this person because of the mind games, right? I share that story in that community. Say you got 100 people from 100 groups, 10,000 people now are in there resonating with your story, opening up, being brave. And then you want to launch a coaching program on your exact action-oriented steps on how you broke through in those moments. Just creating the same blueprint that built you as a person that you are. There are $19 courses on Udemy, Teachable, that can teach you how to build out a course. You could have your first 6-figure launch just by coming from a point of truth, from a point of leverage, because God gave you your story. Your test is your testimony, right? So don't think that there's not a level that we go through that's full of guilt and shame that shouldn't have light shine on it. We didn't go through that pain for no reason. It's not meant to be buried down deep like a thorn bleeding. It's meant to come to the light. And so that's the first thing that I would do. It doesn't matter, you could say, oh, well, I'm not really going through anything like that. Some people resonate with just having normalcy. And they're like, I want to break out of this normalcy. I've had a perfect life up until this point. I'm married with 2 kids. My husband's amazing. I have great credit. You know what? There's people that do resonate with that want something more in their life. And you may have come up because of that sweetness in you, that innocence in you. You're able to love so many people without restraint. And people want to know that process is as an entrepreneur. So there is ways to monetize through leverage. The next thing I want to say, Shylo, is copy what wealthy people do. And in due time, you will become wealthy. I've followed Shylo for a very long time. I will never stop. I will always follow your leadership. I'll take every course that you put out because it's always good stuff. But when it comes down to it, when there was times where I needed a compass on how to go to my next level because I knew she was going through stuff, but still killing it, I copied what she did. I didn't need to bug her. You sew up. I went and figured out, how can I take pressure off you? Go train in her group, go add some value somewhere, send her a gift. You guys, they're so into the people that you want to be close to. And then when they hit that level of ascension, they'll pick you up with them. Mm-hmm. And so those would be my 2 main things. If you're just starting out, or maybe you're wanting to start over because you're just sick and tired, maybe you have a big business in one direction, but you're ready to pour out that stuff so you can like shine the light on all that you are and just free yourself from the guilt and shame of maybe somebody's like finding out the dirt in your closet, right? Launch a brand that tells your truth. And use that brand to then funnel people, because if you attract them to you and you become the Costco, right? You can have multiple streams of income. And then as people, this is what I use, and write this down. If you're listening to this right now, write this down. Tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're at in life and where you want to be. I got Shylo on with one of my executives the other day. He's built $1 million company, gave every single dollar he made away. And that was the first thing he asked her. And what the power that is, especially with high net worth individuals, like the ones that are on these calls, is when you ask them to tell you a little bit about them, where they're at and where they want to be, they're ready to tell you, because guess what? No one asks us. They never ask us about ourselves. They never ask us about our goals or where we're going. It doesn't matter. Jeff Bezos has goals still. Elon Musk is still striving. He's the richest man in the world. Mm-hmm. Just broke John D. Rockefeller's record. So what you can ask people where they at and where they want to be, not only does that posture you to a place of collaboration with people who you probably couldn't reach if you were just asking them for help or asking for a hand up, but also it puts you in a place and position to win. So that's would be where I would start for now.
Well, I think that's a lot of information. I think when you talk about leverage, you killed it. And a lot of people don't understand what the word leverage means. Like they kind of get it, but when it comes to business, they don't know how to put it into action. And that's one of my biggest struggles in anything that we do is there's a lot of philosophy. And I say it all the time, like there is a time for that. And there's always time for mindset training. Everybody loves mindset training. Like if I said, I'm going to do a training on mindset, I'd probably get 1,000 people in 10 minutes because they'd be like, yeah, change my mind. And I'd be like, right, but I can't be the reason you're motivated. Motivation is BS. Like if you think every day I'm sitting here just motivated to just crush it, I'm not. But my goals, but what I want, and I am clear on a vision. I'd rather have somebody tell me, I'm not the most motivated person, but I have clear goals and vision. I'm like, you're going to win anyways, because we can get you to actions and habits, which is a totally separate, we could talk habits all day. You know this, we could talk about that stuff. That is a separate set of actions. But right now, what we're just telling you is get your story out there. What else did I say? We had some great notes. There was stuff about stories in there. Let's just go into stories. I think we could just nail this today on the action steps. Meaghan gave you like a million things to do that are simple. So start a group, get your posts up. We've got leveraging in the posts, make sure they're interacting. You're going to have people. What is your pain point? Throw it in there, share that story. So now we're getting in there, but let's talk stories. Why do you see people who are like, I can't believe they shared that, and they get thousands of likes? You're like, why? Because it was real. They weren't using other people's stories. There was a part of that in the notes that we were talking about too. Like, don't exploit the story. Don't try to make it more than it is. Don't like try to make it sound like someone else's. Tell the damn story. So let's talk about that, Meaghan. Let's just talk about stories, because I think people can be billionaires just with their story. All you need is a story. So what's your story? How do you help somebody when you're doing that? Like we're creating a group. Obviously, you talked about Comeback Queens. You're part of that. You're a big part of that. And Meaghan, we'll make sure we share Meaghan's links as well, because if you need, if you're like a 6, 7, even 8 figure, and everyone's like, oh, they're already there. No. These are the women who need this, because the women who are hustling and they're getting there, they're feeling the same way. They're exhausted. They need more optimization. They need people like Meaghan. They need other people to help them, but people who know what they're freaking doing, not people who blow the fluff and have philosophy all day. You need to have action people. Meaghan's one of those people. Monroe's one of those people. So how do we take a story and in action steps this right now today? Somebody's sitting there, and I know there's women and men listening going, I need something because I'm doing it wrong. I've been in this position. I'm a 7-figure earner that's still like, why am I not more optimized? Why is this stuff not working for me? I'm doing all the work, but it's not working for me. So let's talk about just the story today. That's all we're going to focus on, because you can make $1 million with your story. So what would you tell somebody? Yeah, that's how you get there. So somebody sitting here going, I'm in a 9-to-5, but I want to be an entrepreneur, or I have a side hustle that I really want to take to the next level. I want to be this person. How do they do that with their story? Let's talk about it.
So there's a little thing, and it's scientific fact, and it's called heart resonance. And so that means and this is why I tell people I can change the world. And it's why, because when you tell people the truth, it resonates. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've gone through. When you hear the truth, your heart goes, ooh, that's true. Ooh, I feel that. It's resonance. There's little strings in your heart that cause that reaction. Okay. And so with my story, I have this, and I wish, actually, Mark, can you pull up search Meaghan Monroe and hand me that, and I'll pull up my Facebook page and actually read this copy to you. But it's like 5-10 rows of content. And it literally says, I just woke up, and it was like $13,700 hit my bank account. I look over at my baby and I begin to cry. We made it. I remember the day when, and I'm actually going to pull this up really quick because this is too good not to read to you guys, because this story has made me about 6 figures right now. I'm not going to exaggerate that at all for you guys. And you guys can search my public figure page or look at the link below and click on that. But when I tell you this story changed everything. Why? Because even that part, when you get those first big paychecks and it hits your account and you're like, oh, relief. Like, I'm not going to struggle for gas. I'm not going to cry when I go to the grocery store and for some reason my card declined because some payment went through that I forgot that was scheduled, right? But in that story, I was sitting there and I had $73 left in my account. I had spent everything I had that month on products. Here we go. I had spent everything that I had that month on products. When I started that business, my very first business, I took rent money. And I was like, I can't stay at this job where I'm getting sexually harassed anymore. I literally took my rent money. I bought my $400 package and I jumped in. I made $1,600 my first 2 weeks, quit my job. And I'm not even going to get into that part of my story. But this stuff, because there's a woman out there who had a baby, brand new, maybe 19, 20 years old, that needed to hear that someone like me did that. Resonance. There was someone who knew what it was like to have to take their rent money or borrow their mommy's credit card to buy their first package, or to fund that first round of inventory, or to pay for their business license to get their corporation structure. Okay. So I'm going to read you this copy really quick. And you guys can, like I said, go to my page and see this. I don't like to talk about things I'm not actually doing. 3 years ago at 21, I woke up. Fast forward. $13,700 just hit. My biggest weekly paycheck from one online income stream. This check was literally $300 from a 14K week. I remember being homeless, staying on my son's grandma's couch 3 years ago, having $73 in my account, working overtime and still barely making ends meet. An emotional storm brewing in my heart as I listened to the foreman say I could either move to relief shift, which I could not afford daycare for, or I was fired. That was the day I took the reins of my life into my hands. I looked that man straight in the face and I said, thank you, but I quit. If I can go from $73 in the bank to almost 13K weeks with this one stream, then you can go from failure to success, because you're more likely in a better situation than I was in, period. That's the copy that takes you on a journey. Now that when we were talking about, keeping your story straight to the point, not being messy and all the things, a few of those notes where the truth will set you free. Share your truth, but do it mindfully. When I share this truth, is it going to hurt somebody? Is it going to bother me if I share this truth? If I let it out, is it too stern, too raw? One thing that Shylo taught me when I was very young was that you want to share your scars, not your wounds. Don't bleed on people. Mm-hmm. Tell it to them after you're ready to be healed. Because if someone comes to you and they're in a similar situation and they're like, I'm going through this right now, and you hear that, are you going to be triggered? Is it going to cause you to spiral? Okay, so these are things to be mindful of. And don't add fluff to make your story sound better. You know, I could dress the story up, I can make it, but that was straight to the point. It was 10 lines of copy. And you guys felt that experience. I know Shylo did. I know I felt it. I feel it every time I read it, right? Your story is your point of influence to be authentically you. And oh my God, I hate the word authentic too, because you hear it in this you hear it in this space so much. And it's like, what does that mean?
I know.
We're all hot messes. We're all hot messes until we heal. And until you heal and you go find I say, live a self-centered life instead of a selfish life. And when it comes to structuring your story, y'all, what are those points of resonance? When you go through your attraction, this is what we're going to do, Shylo. When you go through and you try and find your target audience, people focus on demographic, which is age, it's usually age, like spending behaviors, you know, whether they have an iPhone, if they use a credit card, shopping online, those things. They do that stuff to kind of try and like torpedo out an audience. Well, two things that I do that are completely different, and this is why I specialize, just so you guys know what I do. Viral organic lead generation, meaning I don't pay $1 and I go viral, and people share and they work and they build my organizations for me for free. They spend money with me because they want to be close to what I'm sharing. This is what you guys need. You need to be able to heat seek everyone, right? So there's 4 areas when it comes to defining your target audience. The first one is demographic, which is what everyone usually does. Psychographic, which is psychological behavior. You could have a woman in corporate America who does all those normal things, but she could be spiritual guru behind the scenes, worshiping in a temple and be, you know, in yoga and all these things that you don't actually know. So you're missing your mark, and she could be your target audience. So psychographics. Geological location is huge as well. In this winter time, I sell my clothes to Australia and other places that are in summer at that time. Some people don't think like that. So they may be doing a half decent line in the winter months that's not in resonance with what their brand was for, instead of going and seeking international shipping methods so that they can expand their brand where their niche and target audience actually is, right? So there's demographics, psychographics, geological location, and last but not least, behavior analysis. And the huge thing with the women like us is we have behaviors, and some of us are dealing with mental illnesses. Some of us are dealing with sublying, addiction, and things like that we are in a space where we hide that, but we resonate with it. And we actually want to know more about those things. So if you guys are focusing on psychological analysis, behavior analysis, demographics, and geological location, your lead generation is going to be lethal. So when you're structuring your story, ask yourself those questions. You guys can DM me about this. I have free graphics for these that go through the steps and the people that are in those things. But then you ask yourself questions about each of those. What does this person do? What do they think like? Where would they hang out? What are they eating? That kind of thing. I'm vegan. You know what I'm saying? So there's things that I'm attracted to or that I won't do or won't use because of that. Who is that person? And narrow it in. Then when you go through and you go find those 100 Facebook groups, you know that if you're doing a sustainable living community, you know where to find sustainable living community people because you've thought about all of those categories. And the second thing was the greatest gift that Shylo gave me. She doesn't know this. Well, probably one of the greatest gifts she gave me, but she introduced Sherry Tree to me and her bank code. And bank code is the most amazing thing when it comes to adding it on top of the target audience thing that I just broke down to you, which is the way that people behave, right? It's the way that their personalities react. Shylo is an A-type personality. We're doing some stuff right now for her brand. I have to be careful what I tell her because she's going to go sign up for it and then come back and she's going to be like, okay, I did all this stuff and now what do we do next? And then she's got 500 people messaging her and she doesn't know what script she wants to send them yet because we hadn't talked about it, but she was excited and she did it. So you got your A-type personalities who are going to take action, right? That is those people who are going to, when they come to your group, they're going to be the first ones to buy your offer, the first ones to sign up for your challenge, the first ones to tip you on your Instagram live because they're like, yes, you gave me an action step and I can do something that makes progress today. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Earl Nightingale, Think and Grow Rich, you guys. It's the strangest secret. Progress is or success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Our action-oriented people are A-type personalities. They want something to take action. Here's how you kill with content. Then you take in the blueprint type personalities. They want to know the structure, the framework. I actually have so much blueprint, which is crazy because I'm an A-type. I'm a mess, y'all. But I want framework so I know, okay, what numbers, how many people do I need to sign up? Who do I need to support with VAs to get me to that top ranker? How do I launch this organization they want 100,000 people to come through this gate? What do I have to do to behave? And what's the framework for me to get those 100,000 people through that front gate so their 10K launch makes sense, right? Because we do 10% everything. So the next thing is your nurture type personalities. I'm a nurture type. I call Shylo on FaceTime. I need that connection, right? Shylo's also very much a nurturer. She sends gifts. She wants to connect. She wants you to know that she loves you, right? That's not her first one, but it is in there. And so if you're paying attention to the fact that some people may just need to know, this is my favorite thing to say because it's my most authentic truth, is that when you join me and walk with me, I'm fiercely in your corner. I tell people this all the time. If you're brave enough to bring your brand to me and jump in the deep end, I'm fiercely there. You don't have to be afraid because this is the area I'm expertise. Follow me and I will make you fishers of men, literally. That's what I do. But so you got your nurture type personalities. They need reassurance. And the last but not least is your knowledge personality, which is actually my first letter. Okay. I want to know all about it before I jump in. We're annoying. We take 3 to 5 business days to get back to you on your opportunity you reached us with about, because we got to learn about everything about it. Okay. And so if you take the target audience breakdown with the demographic, the psychographic, the behavior analysis, and the geological location, you mix it with your bank code, which is your blueprint, your action, your knowledge, and your nurture and your knowledge type, right? You're lethal at organic lead generation. You don't have to pay $100,000 in ads. When people tell me that, and I have some really wealthy friends who make a lot of money on social media, and I love you guys to death, you may see this, I think y'all are dumb sometimes, because I'm like, why are you spending that much money when actually, if your Facebook group is set up properly, and you guys, I have a free training about this, you can DM me free course, I will send this to you. It literally walks you through how to hack Facebook's algorithm to send you free leads every day. My Facebook group gets 150 people sent to me every 48 hours, roughly, just based off of the way that the SEO is set up. Why? Because they're pushing Facebook groups. They don't want you on Facebook pages anymore. Of course, they're going to make you pay to play, but they want to build community because they're aggregating the most quality data off of that groups. And if Facebook's getting the most quality data out of those Facebook groups, you should be getting them too. So that is a mini masterclass on how you take leverage in your story, right? To just kick butt with no money. Like this, I had to learn. This went back to my very first business. I was in a trailer park, y'all. You heard my story. I read it to you. That's where I was chilling. And I was like, I have population 2,500 people in this little town. How am I going to reach people? You know what I did? I searched top cities in the United States for the specific type of business. I wrote down every suburb in those states. And then in those states, I joined Facebook communities, the same method I'm telling you. This is my method and it works. And I'll stick by it until the day I pass away because it works. And I went and I found those local areas and I tempted them with a story, found people and was able to build teams all over the United States from my trailer with my folding table and folding chair. My stationery I found that my mom and dad had left in our trailer when they moved to Texas. My baby over there playing with some secondhand toy. And I kicked some butt at 19, 20, 21 years old. I still use this method today. And now I monetized it by working with influencers, founders, people that want to be associated with my brand. I have affiliates, people that come in, they want to make money off of the vibe they caught when they came in the group. They're volunteering, you guys, to build for me. Then I have people come in, they're like, I'm actually good at this. Hey, do you need coaches? So now I have coaches coming in who are actually in alignment with what I'm doing because I'm building authentically, right? They're building my brand for me. They're about to build Shylo's. If you guys click the link in the comments, you're going to see the Comeback Queens Facebook community. Watch this play in action. Watch how it works. Watch how her authentic self liberates women across the United States and the world globally, because they're all dealing with the same things. Everyone's ready for the comeback right now. It's astrological. It's biblical. We have like some golden age coming up or something. Like you can't not win in this season if you just choose to take action. That's the problem with everyone in this space right now is these coaches, they don't know how they got where they were, right? We know how we did it. It was action the whole time. And I hope that some of these action steps that I just shared with you are helpful. Would love to see you guys winning. You guys can tag hashtag Monroe on Instagram. Let me know if you used any of these methods, and I'll follow up with you and I'll send you over some free training. But this was so fun, Shylo. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
This was all action. So this is the whole point. Like, I want to show people action all day, every day. This is the next few years. That's all you're going to hear from me. I've been scolded for not, like, they'll say, no, tell me the action. So the reason I got like this is because I used to get questions. How did you get to where you are? And I would start and they'd be like, that's not the action steps. You're telling me philosophy. And it took me a long time to like stop and go, what were the actions? And I started to write them down, and I started to pay attention over the last 7 to 10 years. This wasn't like yesterday I figured it out. It's like, no, I started to follow my own actions. And then I started to know why. This is why I'm attracted to someone like Meaghan. Or Monroe. This is why I'm attracted to this person, or Sherry, or, I was looking at the people I was really attracted to, and I'm like, it's because they're giving me actions and I can follow them. So this was a jam-packed meat and potatoes. Yes, we're going to throw the Comeback Queens link in. It's not ready, but we're going to put it in here anyways, because if you click on this, you're going to get in the community. And that's the most important part, is the community. Meaghan talked about the community. What is it for? We're going to have people working in there with you. And then you're going to have access to me. You're going to have access to Meaghan as well, because she's going to be a part of that. We are going to help you. Even if you just want to be part of the community. There's one-on-one mentorship. We're going to talk about that later, but definitely we gave you action steps today. This was a jam-packed show, because if somebody just caught this and they're going, oh my God, you're probably antsy right now. If you're antsy, that means it's time. If you're antsy, it means you need to get in the community. It means you need to click on Meaghan's link. You need to go to her Instagram. What did she tell you to do? Do the action she told you to do. Hashtag. Tell her what she gave you. She gave you the action steps. Y'all, that is what gets you places. Philosophy's great. Mindset's great. Yes, you need it, but you have to take action, because if you don't take any actions, you're not going anywhere. It's like writing lists. I could write lists all damn day. If I don't take action to that list, it doesn't matter. Y'all, get out of that mode. We are in a season of action, growth, change. This has been another incredible episode of Grit and Grace. I am Shylo Bijold. You just caught Monroe laying it down, and she will be on more episodes. We are in the community. The links will be dropped below. Click on them, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.